Let me ask you something. If an unexpected crisis hit your business tomorrow, would you be ready? I'm not talking about hoping things will work out or crossing your fingers that sales will pick up.
I'm talking about being prepared, because here's the hard truth. Life happens. Machines break down. Revenue dips. Unexpected bills come in faster than you can blink. And if you're not ready, those moments can hit your business like a freight train.
But the businesses that survive know the businesses that their thrives are the ones that saw the storm coming and built themselves a shelter. They're the ones that didn't just cross their fingers and hope. They're the ones that didn't just cross their fingers and hope. They put money aside, created a reserve fund, and said, not today, crisis. Not on my watch. You see, having a reserve fund isn't just about finances. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing that no matter what comes your way, you've got a plan. It's about being able to sleep at night because you're not one broken piece of equipment or one bad month away from disaster. It's about having control even in the chaos.
Let me tell you, the difference between a business that folds under pressure and one that pushes through is often as simple as this. The ones that survive plan for the unexpected.
They built a safety net, a cushion, a reserve that kept them steady when everything else was shaking.
And the best part,
you can do this too.
Here's the thing about emergencies. They don't knock on your door politely and wait for you to invite them in. They show up unannounced, uninvited, and almost always at the worst possible time. A major client pulls out. Your best employee resigns. A storm damages your storefront. The list goes on and on. You can't predict what will happen, but you can predict what will happen, but you can prepare for it. That's the power of a reserve fund. It's your business's insurance policy, your financial parachute. It doesn't stop the crisis from happening, but it gives you the tools to handle it without losing everything you've worked so hard to build. I've seen too many good businesses fail, not because they didn't have great ideas, not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't have a financial backup plan.
They were running on razor-thin margins, using every dollar they earned to cover today's expenses, with nothing left for tomorrow. And then, when the unexpected hit, they had no choice but to take on debt, make desperate decisions, or shut their doors for good.
It's heartbreaking because it's preventable. You don't have to be one of those businesses. You don't have to live on the edge, hoping nothing bad happens. You can take control of your financial future by building a reserve fund today.
But let me tell you, this isn't just about avoiding the bad stuff. It's also about seizing the good. A reserve fund doesn't just protect you in a crisis. It positions you for opportunity. When a chance comes along to expand, invest, or innovate, you won't be held back by a lack of funds. You'll have the freedom to say yes, to grow, to take calculated risks without risking everything. That's the power of being prepared. It's not just about survival. It's about thriving. And that's what I want for you and your business. So here's the challenge. Don't wait for the storm to hit. Start building your reserve fund now. It doesn't have to be huge at first. Just start. Commit to setting aside a little every month and watch how quickly it adds up. Because the truth is, every dollar you save today is a dollar that could save your business tomorrow. And let me tell you, when that moment comes, when the unexpected happens and you're ready for it, you'll thank yourself for taking this step. You'll look back and say, this is the decision that made all the difference. So don't wait. Start today, because your business and your peace of mind are worth it. Let's get real for a minute and talk about what happens when you don't have a reserve fund. Because here's the deal. Failing to prepare doesn't mean the emergencies won't come. It just means you won't be ready when they do. And let me tell you, I've seen what that looks like up close, and it's not pretty. A business without a reserve fund is like a shit without a reserve fund is like a shit without a life raft. Everything's fine until the waves start crashing. Then, all of a sudden, you're scrambling to stay afloat, grasping at anything that might keep you above water. And sometimes, no matter how hard you paddle, it's not enough. The storm wins, and it breaks my heart, because most of the time, it's not the business owner's fault. They're hardworking, passionate, and doing everything they can to make their dream a reality. But the lack of a financial cushion leaves them vulnerable to the unpredictable. And the unpredictable always comes. Think about it. What would happen if your revenue dropped by 20 next month? Maybe a big client pulls out or sales slow down during an unexpected downturn. Could you still pay your employee? Could you cover your rent, your utilities, your loan payments? Or what if a critical piece of equipment suddenly breaks down? Could you afford to fix or replace it without putting the rest of your business at risk? These aren't hypothetical scenarios. They're real life situations that happen to businesses every single day. And without a reserve fund, you're left with limited options. You might have to take on debt, cut back on essential operations, or worst case scenario, close your doors entirely. And let me tell you, the stress of living in that uncertainty of knowing that one bad month could ruin everything is no way to run a business. The truth is, when you don't have a reserve fund, you're not in control of your business. Your circumstances are, you're constantly reacting instead of planning, constantly putting out fires instead of building for the future. And that's exhausting. It's draining, not just financially, but emotionally. You can't focus on growth, innovation, or serving your customers when you're stuck in survival mode. And let me be clear, survival mode is not sustainable. It's like running on a treadmill at full speed. You might keep up for a while, but eventually you're going to burn out.
And let's not forget the cost of desperation. When you don't have a reserve fund and a crisis hits, you're forced to make decisions from a place of panic instead of strength. Maybe you borrow money at Sky, high interest rates because you don't have another choice.
Maybe you cut corners that hurt your team or your customers. Maybe you sell assets you really needed to keep the business running. Whatever the case, those decisions often have long-term consequences that are hard to recover from.
Debt piles up, relationships get strained, and your reputation takes a hit. All because you didn't have the financial safety net to weather the storm.
But here's the thing. This doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to live on the edge, constantly worrying about what might happen if the unexpected strikes. You have the power to change the narrative by building a reserve fund now before the crisis comes.
Because let me tell you, when you have a reserve fund, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're running your business from a position of strength with the confidence that you can handle whatever comes your way.
You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're in control. And that's a game changer. So let me ask you again. If the unexpected happened tomorrow, would you be ready? And if the answer is no, what are you going to do about it? Because the storms will come. They always do. But the decision you make today will determine whether you're prepared to face them head, on or left, scrambling to pick up the pieces. The choice is yours. And let me tell you, choosing to build a reserve fund isn't just smart. It's essential. It's the foundation that every successful business is built on. Don't wait for the storm to show you why you need it. Start building your financial lifeline now and give yourself and your business the future it deserves. Now let's talk about the why. Why should every business make building a reserve fund a priority? Because here's the truth. A reserve fund isn't just about preparing for emergencies. It's about creating opportunities, reducing stress, and giving your business the freedom to thrive. Think about it. When you don't have a financial cushion, every decision you make is weighed down by the fear of running out of money. You're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if the next unexpected expense will be the one that knocks you off your feet.
But when you have a reserve fund, that changes everything. You're no longer making decisions out of desperation. You're making them from a place of confidence and strength.
And let me tell you that confidence is a game changer. Let's start with peace of mind. There's something powerful about knowing that no matter what happens, whether it's a slow sales month, an unexpected repair, or even an economic downturn, you've got a plan. You're not scrambling to find a quick fix or wondering how you'll cover your expenses. You've already done the hard work of preparing, and now you're ready to face whatever comes your way. That kind of security doesn't just help your bottom line. It helps your mental health. You can focus on running your business, serving your customers, and leading your team without the constant stress of financial uncertainty. And let me tell you, that's priceless. But it's not just about surviving the bad. It's about thriving in the good. A reserve fund isn't just there for emergencies. It's there to help you seize opportunities. Maybe you've been dreaming about expanding your business, launching a new product, or upgrading your equipment. But without a reserve fund, those dreams stay on hold because you're too worried about making ends meet. With a reserve fund, you can say yes to those opportunities without hesitation. You can take calculated risks, invest in growth, and move your business forward without the fear of overextending yourself. It's like having a springboard for success. It doesn't just catch you when you fall. It propels you to new heights.
And let's talk about what a reserve fund does for your team. When your employees see that you're financially stable, it builds trust and confidence. They know that you've got their backs, that their paychecks are secure, and that your business is built to last. And that trust translates into loyalty, engagement, and willingness to go the extra mile. A reserve fund isn't just an investment in your business. It's an investment in your people. It shows them that you're not just in it for the short term. You're in it for the long haul, and you're committed to building something sustainable.
A reserve fund also protects your reputation. Let's face it, when businesses struggle, word gets around. Customers start to notice when service slips. Vendors hesitate to extend credit, and opportunities start to dry up.
But when you've got a reserve fund, you're not just weathering the storm. You're staying steady, consistent, and reliable. Your customers see that you're a business they can count on. Your vendors see that you're a partner worth working with. And your competitors see that you're here to stay.
That kind of reputation isn't just valuable. It's priceless. But perhaps the biggest reason to build a reserve fund is freedom. Freedom from worry. Freedom to dream bigger. Freedom to dream bigger. Freedom to run your business the way you've always wanted to without constantly looking over your shoulder. A reserve fund gives you options. It gives you the ability to say no to bad deals, to hold your ground during tough times, and to make decisions that align with your values instead of your fear. It's not just a safety net, it's a foundation. And with that foundation in place, you can build a business that's not just successful, but unshakable. So why build a reserve fund? Because it's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and building wealth. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. It's the difference between a business that's reactive and one that's proactive. And it's a choice you can make today. Because here's the thing, no matter where you're starting from, it's never too late or too early to start building your reserve fund. Every dollar you set aside is a step closer to financial freedom, stability, and success. And that's a journey worth taking. Don't just hope for the best. Prepare for it. Build your reserve fund and watch how it transforms your business and your life.
Now that we've talked about why a reserve fund is essential, let's get practical. How do you actually build one? Because let's face it, when you're running a business, every dollar feels like it has somewhere else to go.
There's always a bill to pay, a piece of equipment to upgrade, or a new opportunity calling your name. But here's the thing. Building a reserve fund isn't about finding extra money. It's about making it a priority.
It's about looking at every dollar you earn and saying, this isn't just about today. This is about building a future where my business can weather any storm and seize every opportunity. And that starts with a plan.
The first step is to set a goal. You've got to know what you're aiming for, or you'll never get there. Start by calculating your monthly operating expenses, your rent, payroll, utilities, inventory, and everything else it takes to keep your business running. Once you have that number, multiply it by 3 to 6 months. That's your target. For some of you, that number might feel overwhelming. You might think There's no way I can save that much. But don't let the big picture scare you off. Remember, every great journey starts with a single step. Your first goal is to save 1 month's worth of expenses. Once you hit that milestone, you build from there. Next, create a separate account for your reserve fund. This is critical. You don't want your reserve fund mixed in with your regular business account where it's easy to spend without even realizing it. Open a dedicated savings account and keep it sacred. This account isn't for new marketing campaigns or fancy office furniture. It's for emergencies and emergencies only. Think of it as your financial fortress protecting your business from the unexpected. The more you build it, the stronger it gets and more secure your business becomes.
Now comes the most important part. Start saving. And I mean, let's start now. Don't wait for the perfect time or until you feel like you have extra money lying around. Because let's be honest, that day might never come. Instead, commit to setting aside a percentage of your revenue every month. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. Even 1 or 2 can make a difference over time. The key is consistency. Make it a habit, just like paying your rent or your payroll. Treat it like a non-negotiable expense because in reality, it's just as important, maybe even more so.
If you're thinking, but I don't have any room in my budget to save, then it's time to get creative. Look for ways to cut costs, reduce waste, or increase efficiency. Maybe it's renegotiating with your suppliers, automating a time, consuming process, or cutting back on non-essential expenses. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can put into your reserve fund. And remember, small changes add up. You might not notice the difference at first, but over time, those savings can grow into something substantial.
Another strategy is to dedicate windfalls to your reserve fund. Did you land a big contract, get a refund, or finish a project under budget? Instead of spending that extra money, put it straight into your reserve fund.
It's tempting to use windfalls for immediate gratification, but trust me, the long-term security of a reserve fund is worth so much more. Every time you choose to save instead of spend, you're investing in your business's future. And here's a tip. Make your reserve fund visible. Put a chart on the wall, update your team on your progress, or set milestones and celebrate when you hit them. Seeing that balance grow is incredibly motivating, and it reminds you why you're doing this in the first place. This isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind, stability, and the ability to run your business with confidence. Every dollar you save is a step toward freedom, and that's something worth celebrating. Finally, stay disciplined. Building a reserve fund takes time, and there will be moments when you're tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. But let me tell you, the discipline you show now will pay off in spades down the road.
When the unexpected happens, and you'll be ready. You won't be ready. You won't be scrambling to cover payroll, taking on high interest debt, or making desperate decisions. You'll be calm, prepared, and in control.
And let me tell you, that kind of confidence is priceless. Here's the bottom line. Building a reserve fund isn't just a financial exercise. It's a declaration. It's saying, I'm serious about my business. I'm committed to its success. And I'm willing to do what it takes to protect what I built. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Start small, stay consistent, and watch how quickly your efforts add up. Because the day will come when you need that reserve fund. And when it does, you'll thank yourself for every dollar you save. This is how you build a business that's not just surviving, but thriving. So take that first step today. Your future self will be glad you did. Let's talk about the mistakes you absolutely must avoid when building a reserve fund for your business. Because here's the thing, having a reserve fund is one of the smartest, most responsible things you can do for your business. But if you're not careful, there are traps that can derail your progress and leave you feeling stuck or frustrated. And let me tell you, I've seen it happen time and time again. A business owner starts off with the best intentions. They're ready to save, ready to prepare, ready to build that financial safety net. But somewhere along the way, they make one of these common mistakes, and suddenly their reserve fund isn't serving its purpose. I don't want that to be your story. So let's dig into these pitfalls and, more importantly, how to avoid them. The first mistake is dipping into your reserve fund for non-emergencies. Look, I get it. You've got money sitting in that account, and it's tempting to use it for something that feels urgent in the moment. Maybe it's a marketing campaign you've been eyeing, a shiny new piece of equipment, or a sudden opportunity that feels too good to pass up.
But here's the hard truth. If you're constantly rating your reserve fund for things that aren't true emergencies, it won't be there when you really need it.
And let me tell you, when a real emergency hits, you'll wish you had protected that money like your business's life depended on it. Because it does. The reserve fund isn't a piggy bank or a rainy day fund for conveniences. It's your last line of defense against financial disaster. Treat it with the respect it deserves. The second mistake is failing to make consistent contributions. Building a reserve fund isn't a one and done thing. It's a process. It takes discipline, commitment, and regular effort. Too often, business owners start strong, setting aside money for a few months, but then they get busy, distracted, or decide they'll catch up next month. And before they know it, months have gone by without adding a single dollar to the fund. Let me tell you, inconsistency is the enemy of progress. Even if you can only contribute a small amount each month, the key is to do it consistently. It's not about how much you save at once. It's about creating a habit, because those small, steady contributions add up over time, and they build the foundation for financial security.
Another big mistake, not having a clear goal. If you don't know what you're saving for, it's easy to lose focus. You need to have a target. 3 to 6 months of operating expenses is a good rule of thumb. When you know exactly how much you need, it gives you clarity and motivation. You're not just saving aimlessly. You're working toward a specific goal that will protect your business and give you peace of mind.
Without that target, it's too easy to let saving fall by the wayside. So set your goal, write it down, and keep it front and center as you build your reserve fund. Now, let's talk about keeping your reserve fund in the wrong place.
This might sound small, but it's a big deal. Your reserve fund needs to be accessible in an emergency, but it shouldn't be so accessible that you're tempted to spend it on none. Essential.
If sitting in your regular business checking account, it's way too easy to dip into. Open a separate savings account specifically for your reserve fund. This creates a barrier that makes you think twice before using that money, but it's still close enough to access quickly when you truly need it. And make sure the account is earning a little interest. Every bit helps when you're building your safety net. Finally, don't make the mistake of thinking you're done once you hit your initial goal. Reserve fund isn't something you set and forget. It's something you adjust and grow as your business evolves.
As your revenue increases, as your expenses change, and as your business takes on new challenges, your reserve fund needs to keep up. Regularly review your financials and make sure your reserve fund is still sufficient to cover 3 to 6 months of operating costs.
If not, it's time to ramp up your savings again. This isn't a one-time exercise. It's a long-term commitment to the health and stability of your business. Here's the bottom line. Building and maintaining a reserve fund takes discipline, focus, and intention. It's not always easy. And there will be moments when you're tempted to cut corners or put it on the back burner. But let me tell you, the effort is worth it. The peace of mind, the security, and the freedom that come with having a fully funded reserve are priceless. So don't let these mistakes hold you back. Stay consistent, stay committed, and protect your reserve fund like the lifeline it is. Because one day, when the unexpected happens and you're ready for it, you'll look back and thank yourself for every decision you made to get there. This is how you build a business that's not just surviving, but thriving. So go out there, avoid these pitfalls, and make your reserve fund a priority. Your business and your future depend on it. Now, we come to the most important part, the decision to act. You've heard the stories of businesses that didn't make it because they weren't prepared. You've seen the reasons why a reserve fund is essential, the benefits it brings, and even the mistakes you need to avoid. But here's the truth. None of that matters if you don't make the choice to start. Knowledge is powerful, but it's worthless without action. The reserve fund you dream about, the security you want, and the peace of mind you crave all start with one decision. The decision to prioritize your business's future over its present convenience. And let me tell you, that choice will change everything. Think about where your business is today. Are you just making it from one month to the next, praying that nothing unexpected happens? Or are you ready to step into a new chapter where you're not just surviving, but thriving? Because that's what a reserve fund does. It transforms the way you run your business. It gives you options, freedom, and confidence. It lets you make decisions from a position of strength instead of fear. It lets you focus on growth, innovation, and serving your customers without the constant weight of what if hanging over your head. And the best part, this isn't something that's out of reach. It's not about winning the lottery or landing a once in a lifetime deal. It's about making intentional choices, one step at a time, to build the future you want. Let me paint a picture of what's possible. Imagine having 3 to 6 months of operating expenses sitting in a separate account, ready to go if and when you need it. Imagine what that would feel like, not just for you, but for your team. They would see a leader who's prepared, a business that's stable, and a workplace they can count on. Imagine how much easier it would be to navigate slow seasons, unexpected expenses, or even economic downturns. You wouldn't be scrambling, stressing, or taking on debt. You'd be handling it with confidence and clarity. That's what a reserve fund does. It gives you breathing room. It gives you breathing room. It gives you breathing room. It gives you options. And it gives you the ability to face whatever comes your way without losing sleep at night. But here's the thing. None of that happens by accident. It happens because you made the decision to act, to save, to prepare. It happens because you took control of your finances instead of letting your finances control you. It happens because you chose to make sacrifices today for a better tomorrow. And let me tell you that choice isn't always easy. There will be moments when it feels like every dollar you set aside could be better used somewhere else. There will be times when you're tempted to put it off, to wait until things settle down or get better. But let me be honest with you, there's never going to be a perfect time. The only time you have is now, and the sooner you start, the sooner you'll feel the impact of that decision. So here's my challenge to you. Don't wait. Don't let fear, excuses, or procrastination hold you back from building the financial foundation your business deserves. Start today, even if it's just a small amount. Even if it's just a small amount, even if it's just a small amount, even if it feels like you're moving at a snail's pace, start. Because every dollar you save is a step closer to security, stability, and success. Every dollar you save is a declaration that you're serious about your business, your team, and your future. And every dollar you save is a reminder that you're in control. Not the unexpected, not the crises, but you. Here's the bottom line. Reserve fund isn't just a safety net. It's a launch pad. It's not just about surviving the bad times. It's about thriving in the good. It's about creating a business that's not just here for the next 6 months, but for the next 6 years, the next 60 years, the next 60 years. And it starts with a single decision. The decision to act. The decision to prepare. The decision to invest in the one thing that will always pay off. Your business's future. So make that decision today. Open that separate account. Set that first savings goal and commit to contributing regularly. Involve your team. Track your progress and celebrate every milestone along the way. Because one day, when the unexpected happens and you're ready for it, you'll look back on this moment and say, that's when everything changed. That's when I took control. That's when I took control. That's when I built a business that's not just surviving, but thriving. And let me tell you, that's a feeling like no other. So go make it happen. Your future self and your future business will thank you